Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, and the USO. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames, and we use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's get right into the daily SPY. Pretty much the same old story here. Consolidation above the 20 MA, the 50 MA, the 200 MA, still bullish. But if this thing doesn't break out, like I've been saying, then it's going to take the path of least resistance and possibly move lower. We still filled the gap on Friday. We had the bounce today, 107 up on the Dow. No conviction, no confirming uptrend, just a bunch of BS, in my opinion. Weekly, same thing. We're starting to make an umbrella top. We have a little doji spinner. We had a little, this is a little bit bigger spinner. And never closed below the 217.01. They popped it up today, and that's where we're at. Still looking at that area. We need to close below that before we continue down, and we need to close above the 220 area before we keep going up. The more it consolidates, such as a daily in a bullish manner, there's a good possibility of this thing moving up. But the more, I mean, this 2 months of consolidation and we're not moving anywhere, something's broke in these markets. Weekly basis too. Let's go to the monthly. We broke out above the all-time highs. Looks like we will close above this, but now next step is I want to see some conviction. I want to see more volume than 70 million shares on the day. And again, I just think it's just a BS market right now. They're floating it up on light volume. As long as we have the light volume, this is where we're staying. 2 months in the same area. It's pretty pathetic. So let's look at the Qs. All right, let's get right into the daily chart. So again, this is interesting though. We have a nice little inside bar. I play these all the time. Down, sideways, inside bar, holding the 20 MA. Looks like they have it pegged to that. The bots are like, they programmed them. All right, just hold the 20 MA, go up and down all day, squeeze people up and down, but ultimately just stick in a range and that's it. But we retrace to the 618 retrace again, and it's holding the 20 MA. So as long as it's above the MAs, it's bullish. But if this pattern goes sideways for another 3-4 days in the Friday, then we're going to look for possibly some selling. Still needs to get above the 118.78 area with more volume and some conviction, and then capture the 120 area, and then I'll possibly be a slightly more of a believer that will get more upside. But until I see more volume and some conviction and follow through, I don't believe it. Let's look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart, same thing, move up. We got a nice little doji, a spinner. Now we're kind of just holding. I'm looking for a close below the 116 area and then the 115.61 area. Then I believe we can sell. We still need to get above this high pivot with some more volume and conviction if this thing needs to go or moves into higher prices. That's what we're looking for. But at this point, I think we're getting really, really tired. Again, closed above the 115.90 area, or actually it did today. Tomorrow we'll find, I think we have 2 days left of the month. But 2 days we need to close above the 115.90 area. And then I want to see some follow through from here. If we don't get any follow through, I still believe we're heading down. Let's take a look at the IWM. IWM, a little bit weaker, and I've been telling you, I've been preaching this to you too. If this thing's not leading the markets up, we're in trouble. Until it gets ahead of this and this starts leading and the SPY and everything starts to lag, I don't believe in this rally. That's the daily though, or that's the weekly. Still above the MAs on the daily. We're still doing okay. Just looking for getting below the 20 MA, then confirming. Then we'll probably fill the gap, go to these lower pivots in the 50 MA, and then we'll reevaluate this chart. If it's gonna go up, it needs to start moving up soon. It will move up into this area, probably 126.79, and then fill the gap at 127.59. If you're not short the IWM and you're waiting for these higher prices and gap fill, that's fine. Then wait for these. If you want to go short here, go half position, add more up in here, use the all-time high with confirmation as a stop out, and just make it simple on you. Again, weekly chart. Look at this. I mean, come on. I want to see like that. I want to see an up move like this where it just starts ripping heads off and let's go. It's coming up on lower volume, and now it's just kind of chopping, and then we had a little tail here, nothing special, but it needs to get above that 123.50 area and ultimately above 124.44, and that was the high of Friday. Monthly chart, we're right back into the 123.43 level. this breakdown bar. Let's see if they can push it through, or is this the last place coming into the trend line where this thing could possibly pull back? Only time will tell. The DIA. DIA a little more, or the DIA a little more interesting. We did close below the 20 MA. We did confirm. Now we're going back up into it. Let's see if we can come down and chop around underneath the moving average with some bearish consolidations to set up for the next move. If this thing sets up another 5, 6, 7 days sideways, I would expect a pretty good move down, and I would say we're going to fill the gap around 178.80, and we're heading right to the 200 moving average, which is at 175.35. Then you have that gap too right below it at 173.74, then ultimately 171.17, and then we'll reevaluate and go from there. Weekly chart. Weekly, still choppy, sloppy, bullish pattern. This thing could go up. If it does try to move up, it needs to get above the 186.96, and then once it gets above there, it needs to confirm. And actually, the all-time high is 186.87. So as long as it gets above there and confirms, I'm okay. But it's still, gosh, we're at the all-time highs. A lot of these patterns at all-time highs will fail, and if they do, it will be a bigger and more dramatic downward move on this one, period. Monthly, we closed above the all-time high, but we still haven't captured the high here. We need to still get above the 180, well, the all-time, the 186.09 area and close, and then we need follow through with confirmation. If it doesn't happen, markets aren't going up. And here's another lagging indicator, the IYT. Same thing. I'm sorry I sound like a broken record, people, but it's hard to fight these markets. We're just complacent, no volume. They're just chopping around, shaking people up and down like this. I mean, we go 3 days down, they push it up. There's really nothing. I got to look at some other charts, but there's, I mean, you can make a case. You have a trend line here. You know, if you want to do that bottom, you know, and do that one here where, you know, it comes into that area, we get the bounce, they can't recapture the 20 MA. I want to see it stay above. It needs to get above this 143 area, and then ultimately attack the 144, 46 area, and then I'll believe this thing a little bit stronger. But until then, I'm bearish on these. This is a nice inside bar bullish pattern, but not the best. I'd like to see a nice tight one up here, but instead we kind of have this and then down and then slight pattern. So what we're looking for on this, if you're long the IYT, you're looking for it to recapture these highs here and then get up into the 146 area and then recapture that with confirmation. And then I think you're definitely going to the 150 area. If you get up in there, you better look out. Again, we have lower highs on this one too. This one actually made a little bit, but it never closed above. But that's just weak. Not like on the weekly. The monthly chart, until we get above the 20 MA and the 750 retrace, no, we're not going. And if this thing starts to fail, I think we're heading right down into this area, right around the 131.78. If that cracks, we're coming into the 119.36 and then possibly the 115 shot. I mean, we'll look at this. We got to put pieces of the puzzle together. We got to wait for more daily information, weekly information, monthly information. But at this point, technically, this one's a little bit on the weak side. As the SPY, the Qs, the DIA are leading, this one should be right along with it, if not higher. That's what I keep telling everyone. They all laugh at me. They all laugh at me. You hurt my feelings. All right, let's get into the daily USO. Again, nice retrace. They bounced it up. RBC came on. I think they're upgrading this. Everyone's bullish now on oil, so that tells me we're going to get a pullback. This really doesn't tell the story other than it got above the 50 and the 200, came up into this breakdown bar here. All the buyers that bought here are becoming sellers, taking the profit, or just taking a break even and say, I'm done. Comes in, bounces off some, I'll show you on the weekly, bounces, gets above the moving averages, comes down. But now we have an inside bar. This is a bearish pattern. So we'll see if these all come together and this thing just slides down. Let's go to the weekly, though, so I can show you the setup a little bit better. So we went short right up in here at 1250 or 1247, whatever. We pulled our short off when it hit the 20 MA. And, of course, it goes lower by a ton, actually. Gets the bounce here, 3 months up. Now we're chopping around. But on the weekly, we got below the 50 and the 20 now. So this is actually bearish. So it gets rejected, comes back in, closes below, and now we're down in this area. So this will be interesting for the USO and all the oil stocks to see what happens in the next, up and coming weeks. This is a weekly chart, so what I'm looking for on this is a close below, say 110.53 or so. Then I think we're on. All right back down to the 923 area, 922, up into this pivot, and then possibly the $9 area. I'd love to see that. You do have the trend line, so you have a little bit more support in this area, so it's going to be a little tougher coming back down, going through. But if the SPY and everything else dumps, this one's going downtown with it. Monthly chart, still bearish, chopping around down here. Inside bar, bearish pattern now, and we've been consolidating for almost 7 months now. Not good. Needs to recapture the $14 or the 20 MA area before you want this thing going up. But this is a monthly, so this one for me, if it gets above the 1242 area, then my short on this one, I'll probably just stop out, but we'll have to see. I did take half off the SCO maybe a week ago or so. We've got in around 81 bucks. It went to 87. I sold half. I have a break even in, so I can't lose on that one. But also, we're short the USO as well. But again, everyone, thank you so much for watching my videos. Spread the news, share them, whatever you need to do. I love this stuff, and I love teaching. If you have any questions or comments, send them to me at stockbookie@gmail.com. Thanks again, everyone. God bless. See you on the charts.